It's time for Let's Chat with Russtek, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs just like you. When starting out, entrepreneurs often feel they need to go it alone, and I'm here to tell you that's just not the case. Entrepreneurs have a lot of questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Nick Russell, and this is Let's Chat with Russtek. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat with Russtek. My name is Nick Russell. Now, this week, I want to talk about two characters from really big commercials and really big insurance companies, oddly enough. But I want to talk about the Gecko from Geico, and I want to talk about Flo from Progressive. Now, what does that have to do with anything, right? So when you see the Progressive commercials and you see the actress that plays Flo, she's hilarious. The lines are on point. And same thing with the Geico commercials. Those commercials are excellent. They're hilarious. And when I'm thinking of an insurance company, that's the first thing that comes to mind. If I'm going to change my insurance company up, the first thing that comes to mind are those two. Now, I may have something different in mind, but chances are I'm going to at least get a quote because they're the first two that I think of before I start getting into all the local ones or anything else, right? Now, think about other big, huge brands and characters they use on commercials, on promotional materials, on social media, and everything, right? Now, unfortunately, this story ended very badly for Subway, but Subway had a huge campaign for years and years and years focused on a character by the name of Jared. That made them a ton of money, a ton of sales. They opened up a ton of stores after that campaign had really caught fire and started really doing well. And unfortunately, it backfired when that actor's personal life made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Now, they lost millions in sales because of that. But that was a big risk they took, and that was an attractive character that they used in their business. Now, for most of us, we're entrepreneurs. We're small to medium-sized companies, and we don't have the ad spend that Geico has or Subway has or Progressive or anybody else like that, right? So the chances are we're going to use ourselves as the attractive character. Now, that doesn't mean I'm the most attractive guy in the world. I'm balding and gray beard that's not trimmed, and I wear hoodies and jeans. Not that attractive, but it's the stories that I tell and telling them over and over again and getting in front of the camera and posting and blogging and all the other things. Telling all these stories that I tell always tie into the value that I have to deliver to you guys. That's part of my attractive character for the business, right? So when you think of your attractive character and how you want to tell a story, now you may not have a lot of stories that tie into, like for me, marketing, or you may be an accountant. You may not have a lot of stories from your childhood or your past that ties in to what you're doing and what you're offering. So instead of telling stories, you can kind of tell a story on how you learned what you're doing and have that transition into the value that you have to offer to your audience. Now, if you really want to dive deep into the attractive character, you can set it up in a whole bunch of different ways. The first thing you want to do is you want to find out the identity of your attractive character. Who is that? Is that you going forward, telling your stories? Is it a fictional character that you're going to portray? Is it just a fictional character completely that doesn't have you in it at all? It could be a cartoon character. And this is somebody who's on your all of your campaigns and social medias and maybe making videos. But as long as you have an attractive character and something your audience relates to that positions you as the expert, that's where you want to be. Now that you have the identity, you want to give that character a backstory to really relate with your audience. And then you want to find out what kind of story you want to tell. So you can do that in a number of different ways. You can position it and tell a story of us versus them. You can tell the before and after story. Before this, then after, this is what the results were. Or you can use the hero's journey as a way to have a huge overarching story, kind of like a good example of the hero's journey is Star Wars or Harry Potter. They're both the same framework. They both use the hero's journey, just with different stories and characters. But if you watch those two films, the two franchises, it's the exact same, not so much script, but it's the same framework for the script that they're using. And the more stories you tell, the more you relate with your audience, the more your audience will relate with that character, and you can position yourself as the expert to tell your story. Now, this is an area that I fail at because, and I'll use Russell Brunson as an example, but there's a lot of other entrepreneurs like Alex Charfen or Marley Jacks or Steve Larson or whoever, and even their local people too. You're utilizing one of the best tools. We have one of the best tools in our pocket, and it's our phones. So if you're using Instagram and you're constantly on your stories and you're doing exactly what that is, your Instagram story helps you tell a story. Instead of just sharing a post, you can get on your Instagram stories and have a day in a life of almost every day and continually using yourself as that attractive character in your business. So when you see a celebrity, or when you see, for example, JT, if you're not watching this and you're listening to this on our podcast, I'm wearing a JT hoodie. Now, this is a friend of mine from Utah who started using TikTok to spread positivity, and he doesn't even know what he's doing when he uses TikTok, but he's developed himself into the attractive character for the JT Way Foundation. And that's merch that he sells in order to raise money for the JT Way Foundation charity to give back to the community. All of us have bought into this. We feel as if we know him. Well, a lot of us know him personally now, but anybody that follows him now, you almost feel like you know who he is right off the bat. Same thing with Russell Brunson, for example. I don't know him personally, a few comments back and forth on social media, but that's about it. Now, he posts a lot about himself, his family, at the office, and I feel like I know his entire life, and I feel like I know who he is, and I feel like we're close friends from what he posts, because he is the attractive character for ClickFunnels and his brand. So utilizing these tools, it really helps grow your business, grow your following, and position yourself as that expert. So that's really all I had to say when it comes to the attractive character. And if you don't have an attractive character, definitely look into starting to tell more stories for your business. And if you want to really dive deep into that attractive character and how to really use it to tell your stories, I invite you to check out the book Dotcom Secrets by Russell Brunson. That's how I learned how to do it. Not that part of it I implement very often, but it is something that I do, especially with the blogs and with the podcasts. So definitely take a look at that. And I hope you got a little bit of value out of this podcast. And with that said, I can't wait to chat with you next week. Hold up one quick second. I want to give you a free book. Now, this book that I want to give you is probably one of the best books I've ever read. And it's a book that I use constantly, not only as just a great read, but I use it as a textbook in my business every single day. That's a book by Brunson called Dotcom Secrets. It's the first book he wrote in the series, the trilogy that he wrote with Dotcom Secrets, Expert Secrets, and Traffic Secrets. Now, these 3 books combined, to me, is better than any university education when it comes to marketing. It is filled with everything you need to know to market your business. And I want to give you Dotcom Secrets for free right now. So all you have to do is click the link in the description of this podcast or YouTube video, and you will see the link to get your free version of Dotcom Secrets. And believe me, you will not be disappointed. This is one of the best books I've ever read. Hopefully you enjoy Dotcom Secrets, and I'll chat with you again next week.